Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you guys are new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Alex. In today's video, we're going to do some organizing and some decluttering of my makeup collection. These drawers right here are the Ikea Alex 5 drawers with the malm tabletop on top. I have a whole video dedicated to my makeup collection, my storage, my drawers, my mirrors, everything like that. So if you guys would like to see that, I will link it in the eye right up here for you guys so that you can check it out, because that is not what today's video is going to be. Today's video is going to solely be reorganizing and decluttering my makeup collection. I got some of these new Impressions Vanity little holders for my blushes, bronzers, highlighters, eyeshadows, things like that for my drawers to fit right inside of them. These are made specifically for the Ikea Alex drawers. I figured what better time to go through your collection and declutter of things that you're not using than right now. So today we're going to go ahead and start with eyeshadow palettes. This eyeshadow palette drawer is literally overflowing, stuffed all the way to the back. There's no way that any single person could use this much eyeshadow, so we need to go ahead and go through it. This is going to be a hard section for me because I literally love eyeshadows, but I'm going to try to be good today. So we're going to go ahead and declutter my eyeshadows, and any eyeshadows that I'm not using that I've touched or swatched, obviously I'll give to like friends and family that want it. If it's so super old that it's been in my collection for years, I'll probably just toss it in the bin because that means it's expired. Okay, so number one, I have this little thing on top of my drawer system up here that usually holds my current favorite eyeshadows. So in there right now I have the Jaclyn Morphe palette. This guy has been used and abused. It's one of the only eyeshadows that I have that I've actually hit pan and stuff on. I don't use this all the time. I used to love it a ton, but it's always just going to be a staple for me, and I love it so much and I love her, so that always stays on the top. Next up is the Tarte Beauty palette. This is this guy right here. This is a newer palette this year. This also is going nowhere, staying right on top of my vanity. These eyeshadow palettes aren't going to change. I just wanted to let you guys know that I have them and that I'm keeping them in the very beginning. This is the Anasazi Beverly Hills Sultry eyeshadow palette. This is again another super big love of mine. I use this palette a lot. Usually anytime that I want to look glam, it just has like some of the best neutral shades in it ever. And then another Anasazi palette. This is the Jaclyn palette. It's much different than my Sultry palette because this one has some cool tones and some warm tones, and this one has some fun pops of color and shades that the Sultry doesn't have. So I also have this guy on top because I do love this formula a lot, and she did such a great job for it. So none of the eyeshadow palettes on top of my vanity are going to change, and I'm going to keep all 4 of these guys up there. First one that I see on top is the Naked 2 palette by Urban Decay. This palette was the very first eyeshadow palette that I ever owned, or that I ever bought. This is most people's eyeshadow palette, the first one they've ever owned or ever bought. I hit pan on so many shades. I don't really use this palette. It's just nostalgic to me that this is my first palette and this is where my life has came to now. So I'm not getting rid of this. It's not something that I use every day or anything, or really ever use at all. It's just sentimental purposes. This is my first baby. This is what started all of this, so this is staying. And then next up, this is newer to me. This is a Celestial Thunder palette from Dominique Cosmetics. We got this in a BoxyCharm video and I loved this palette. These shades in here were so beautiful, so buttery, so pigmented. I've only played with it like once or twice, but I'm keeping it because I did really like it a lot. The shades are stunning and beautiful and the formula was excellent. Next up is the ColourPop You Had Me at Hello palette, which has no eyeshadows in it. Interesting. Okay, obviously we can get rid of that. Okay, next up is the Violet Voss Essentials eyeshadow palette. This is this guy right here. I got this one in a BoxyCharm as well, and again it has some really nice shades in it, and I did really like the performance of this eyeshadow palette. I don't use this one all of the time, but I have thrown it in and out of my makeup kit a couple times because it has good pops of color and neutrals, so I'm gonna keep this guy. The Lorac Pro Palette. I love Lorac. Oh my gosh, look how many shades I hit pan on in this guy as well. This used to actually be in my makeup freelance kit, and I use this so much on so many people. The shimmers just don't do it for me. There's such better formula of shimmer palettes out there nowadays, but the mattes were so beautiful and so blendable. And I do still really like this palette, so I am going to keep this guy. This is the Pure Cosmetics Buff Collections eyeshadow palette. I got this in a BoxyCharm and I honestly have never actually used it on my eyes. I swatched it a couple times, but I've never actually used it. The shades in here are really pretty. but it's technically supposed to be like a dupe for the Naked 3 palette. The packaging on this is so much cheaper. I'm gonna go ahead and give this one to friends and family, somebody that could use it since I've actually touched it with my fingers. Okay, next up there's a Morphe Jaclyn Hill eyeshadow palette in here. This is from the Vault collection. I have 2 of these. This specific one right here, the oranges, I have in my makeup kit, and I also have one for my personal use. I love this palette, not going anywhere, would never get rid of it. This is a collector's item, so I'm keeping the Jaclyn Hill Morphe Rainy Alarm palette. Next up is another Morphe palette. This is the Morphe 9C Jewel Crew Artistry palette. I just got this one last Christmas, and Morphe has some of the best eyeshadows for an affordable price, so I'm not getting rid of this guy. I use this one a lot. Obviously you can see I get good use out of this guy. This is the Revealed to Coastal Scents eyeshadow palette. This is this guy right here. Honestly, I got this one in a BoxyCharm, and I have not used any of the shades in here for such a long time. I'm going to go ahead and let this guy go. It's decent quality, not my favorite. I have so many more high-end palettes that are better, so I'm going to put this guy in a friends and family as well. This is the BoxyCharm Love Pure. It was a collaboration that they did together for BoxyCharm that we got in one of our BoxyCharm boxes. The shades in here are so pretty. I've only gotten to mess with it with a time or two, so I'm going to put this in a maybe pile, and we'll kind of come back to this one. And I have 2 little Tarte palettes, these little circle palettes. I got these guys again in a BoxyCharm. So many eyeshadows in BoxyCharm. These eyeshadow palettes have a different formula than the regular Tarte eyeshadow palettes. They're mostly shimmer shades. There's not really a lot of matte, and they're almost like kind of wet feeling. They're the Tarte Rainforest with the Sea formula. These palettes are definitely very different. This one has kind of like cooly purpley undertones, and this one has a little bit more warm and brown. I do like the both of these. I haven't gotten much time to play with them, so I'm going to keep them for now. Okay, and then we have another Morphe eyeshadow palette. This one is an all warm tone one right here. As you can see, I've gotten a ton of use out of this guy as well. This is the Morphe NA Always Golden eyeshadow palette, and I'm definitely keeping this guy. And then this is the Revealed Smoky palette by Coastal Scents. So I got rid of the warm eyeshadow palette in this formula. I've used this guy a little bit. I don't wear cool tones all that much, but I honestly don't really have any like gray cool tone palettes because I usually reach for warm tones. So I'm going to put this guy in the maybe, and we'll just kind of come back to it and see if I do find any more cool tone palettes I don't know about. This is a Pure Cosmetics Festival eyeshadow palette. I got this one in a BoxyCharm as well. I get so many eyeshadow palettes in BoxyCharm, guys, it's crazy. But the formula on Pure eyeshadows is really good, and I like this palette, so I'm definitely going to keep it. And there's another Pure eyeshadow palette underneath of it, again, that I got in BoxyCharm. And this is the Pure Soiree Diaries palette. Again, I used to have this one in my makeup freelance kit because it's just like basic neutral warm tones. I love both of these palettes, so I'm going to keep these guys for sure. And then we have the Alamar Cosmetics eyeshadow palette, and then I got this one in a BoxyCharm as well. The owner of this company actually works at BoxyCharm, so I follow her on Instagram, and she's really cute. She's really nice. I've used this palette a couple times. I actually used these blues on my sister to do a prom look on her at her last senior prom, but all of these warm oranges and burgundies are beautiful as well. The pigment on these is like literally insane and out of this world. Let me show you guys. Yeah, it's like so crazy. So I am definitely not getting rid of these palettes. Okay, and the next palette that I have is this palette right here from Crown Brushes. This is their Glam Metals eyeshadow palette. I honestly have never really messed with this palette at all. I think I put my finger in it a couple times, I can kind of see here. But I've never really used it. So I'm going to go ahead and give this one to friends and family since I touched it. And then this palette is from Winky Luxe. This is their Kitten Palette. I got this one in a BoxyCharm as well. I've only really touched these shades. I think I've worn it one time. It kind of has some nice neutral colors in here, but I'm just not quite sure if I need it. I definitely have these in other palettes, so I'll put this in the maybe. And then this is the Studio Makeup On The Go eyeshadow palette. I used to have this one in my freelance kit as well because it had some nice cool tones and purples in here. I do like this palette more than this Naked Smoky palette, and these kind of have similar-ish tones, so I'm going to go ahead and keep this guy and declutter this guy. And then this is the Protege palette by Suva Beauty. I got this guy in a BoxyCharm and I tried it out one time, and the quality of it was okay. It wasn't like the greatest thing in the world, but it wasn't really the worst thing in the world either. But I have so many palettes of this same type of thing, so I'm gonna go ahead and give this to friends and family. Okay, and then next up we have another Studio Makeup on the Go palette. Like I said, these used to be my freelance kit, so I've used them quite a bit. They're definitely really good eyeshadows, and I might try to keep them and go ahead and finish them up in my kit. I've hit the pan on a lot of shades, so I'm gonna go ahead and keep this guy and try to maybe finish it up. My goal this year is to use up a lot of the eyeshadow palettes that I have in my kit instead of buying single eyeshadows and putting them into Z palettes. Since I just have so many eyeshadows, I want to finish them and not be wasteful, so I'm gonna go ahead and keep this guy and try to finish it up. The next one here that I see that is opening is the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette. It's opening like that because I bent it too far back one day, but this is such an amazing brown eyeshadow palette. I literally love this eyeshadow palette. I used to use it all of the time. I even popped it into my freelance kit there for a little while. But it definitely is of amazing quality, and I do love this guy, and I'm gonna go ahead and keep him. This right here is just a empty palette from MAC. There's just a bunch of single shimmery eyeshadows in it. It's so dirty because it was in my freelance kit. It needs to be cleaned up. But I used to keep it in there for shimmer eyeshadow palette. I had an all matte one and an all shimmer one. I took this guy out just because I like to keep my palettes on rotation so I don't get bored and uninspired. But this isn't really for me, it's for my kit, so I'm gonna go ahead and keep this guy. And then next up I have this Pretty Vulgar eyeshadow palette. This is the Nightingale palette. So it's kind of like a cool toned palette once again. I kept that one cool tone palette for the Studio Makeup one for my makeup kit, so I'll go ahead and use this cool tone one for myself. But that should maybe do it for me on cool tone palettes. And then this is a Crown Pro Brushes eyeshadow palette, and it doesn't really say a name on it at all. It just says Crown Pro, but it's nice, like a little warm eyeshadow palette. I've used this before, and the shades in here are really, really pretty, and I liked it, so I'm gonna go ahead and keep this guy. This is the Real Her Shadow Palette, Be Your Own Kind of Beautiful. I've touched this with my fingers multiple times, and I just am not into the shade range and how many shimmers are in here besides a black that's matte, and I would never do any looks with these guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and friend and family this guy. This palette is brand new to me. This is the Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde palette. You guys saw me just use this in a video. My mom just gave this to me for Christmas, and the shades in here are so stunning, so this is going nowhere. This is the Pure Cosmetics Midnight Masquerade eyeshadow palette. It has blushes and highlighters on one side and then some eyeshadows on this other side. I have touched this with my fingers, but I never really used it on my eyes, so I'm gonna go ahead and give this guy away to friends and family. And then this last one right here is the L'Oreal La Palette Nudes number 112. So this is kind of some nude eyeshadows from L'Oreal. I don't really use this all that much, but I am gonna keep it just in case I ever need it for drugstore videos. Okay, this guy is still in the packaging. It's brand new. I just got this for Christmas from my mother-in-law. This is from the brand Palladio, which you can get at like Sally Beauties and stuff like that. She just got this guy for me. I haven't even gotten to dip into it yet, but this is just a big color palette from them, so I definitely want to go ahead and give this guy a try. This is another big palette. This is from Profusion. I got this in a TJ Maxx haul one time for $6.99, and the shadow quality in here is so good for what I paid for it, and I do really like this palette, so I'm gonna go ahead and keep this guy. The packaging on it obviously is kind of cheap, but the quality is good. It's from Makeup Revolution. Another Anasazi palette. This is the Modern Renaissance palette. This palette used to be up on the top of my vanity for the longest time, but the Sultry and the Jaclyn to me are just speaking to me more on a different level than these shades are, so I still love this palette. This is going nowhere. I love Anasazi eyeshadows. I like to collect them, so keeping this guy for sure. This is the Tartelette in Bloom eyeshadow palette from Tarte. This is an amazing eyeshadow palette. I love this guy so much. It has nice neutral shades, basically neutral, a little bit warmer, and a little bit kind of like purpley toned. So I love these shades in here so much. This is definitely going nowhere, and it smells so good. This palette used to be in my makeup freelance kit as well. This is the BH Cosmetics Carli Bybel Deluxe Edition eyeshadow palette. There's like so much powder falling out of it. Like I said, this guy used to be in my makeup artist kit. That's why I've hit pan on so many shades and it's so dusty. Eyebrow colors, matte shades, dark shades, eyebrow shades. I could do a lot with this single palette, so I am going to keep this. I don't normally personally use it on myself though. And then the last eyeshadow palette that I've got down here in my big drawer is the Morphe 35O palette. This is actually the original packaging of the Morphe 35O. So it's kind of funny that I have this. I would never get rid of this. This is like the #1 staple warm eyeshadow palette basically of a couple years ago. So this is kind of like a collector's item to me. Plus Morphe eyeshadows are so bomb. So definitely keeping this guy. Okay, so the last two palettes that we had that were kind of like maybes were the Winky Lux eyeshadow palette and the BoxyCharm Pure palette. And I cleared out quite a bit of space in my drawer, so I'm going to go ahead and keep these, and if I don't use them within a couple months, then I'll definitely go ahead and declutter them. So I'm going to go add these guys. So we definitely did pretty good, and we got quite a lot. All of the stuff in this basket right here so far is for friends and family to kind of look for and see what they would like. And we went ahead and tossed away one palette that was completely empty. So this is kind of what the inside of the drawer is looking like. I've got my two Tarte Circle palettes stacked up right here, and then my little quads right here. So my two Morphe ones and my two from Studio Makeup. And then all of my larger palettes are back here, so like my Morphe, my Profusion, Palladio. My Z palette with my MAC shadows are right here. And then I've stacked up all of the palettes that I'm keeping like this, so that I can see the names of the palettes on the back and kind of know what I've got and what I'm working with. So I can always look in here for an eyeshadow palette. So that drawer is done. Okay, so now we're kind of closer to the top of my makeup desk where a whole nother drawer is set over, obviously. So this top section right here is like my single eyeshadows, pigments, glitters, and smaller eyeshadow palettes. So we're going to go ahead and do that today too, since we're on the topic of eyeshadows. So this drawer right here is supposed to be single shadows and smaller eyeshadow palettes. It's super stuffed, super full. I don't even know what's in here anymore. Like, why are these two full-size eyeshadow palettes in here? I don't know. And we just did full-size eyeshadow palettes. So this guy normally goes in my freelance makeup kit. This is the Tarte Clay Play palette, the first edition. They don't even make this anymore. This is beautiful for anything blush, bronzer, contour, eyeliner, eyeshadow, eyebrow product. So this is going nowhere. And this one I just recently got. I think that's why I shoved it in here, because I was running out of space. This is the Fairy Tales Cosmetics book from About Cosmetics. It's their eyeshadow palette. The packaging on this is so big and bulky, and it literally threw me off. But when I used it in my BoxyCharm video, this shadow quality is literally out of this world. So I'm actually going to keep both of these guys, so I'll add them to my big eyeshadow drawer. But then we have all of our smaller palettes and glitters and stuff like that in here. So we need to go ahead and go through all of this, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and take everything out. Okay, so let's just go ahead and start with all of these guys, and we'll go ahead and organize our singles and our glitters and stuff. So the front row is supposed to be my single eyeshadows. I have a lot of these little color design eyeshadows from Lancome, because I used to work for them. The shadow quality on these guys is really, really good. They're just kind of like neutral single eyeshadows that I got. I don't really want to get rid of any of these because they're really good if I'm traveling. I can just pop like a gold and a brown in my purse if I don't have a lot of time. So I just have a couple shimmers and a couple neutrals from these guys. No crazy colors or anything like that that I wouldn't wear. So I am going to go ahead and keep these guys. Then I have this liquid eyeshadow from Mary Kay. It's supposed to be a green color, and it's literally pretty much dried and crusty in there, so this is gonna go to the bin. The next one that we have right here is a newer one to me. This is the Tarte Chrome Paint eyeshadow in the shade Paradise Found. I just got this one in a recent Sephora haul, so I'm gonna keep this guy. This is literally an empty packaging of a Sephora single eyeshadow, so I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of this. These little guys right here are glitters from Wet n Wild. They're kind of weird though, because they're like those glitter that are kind of like in like jelly that you can kind of like push and move around, and then you're supposed to be able to like put them on your eye, but they're literally like so sticky. Like I feel like it's just like Vaseline and glitter that they put in here. I'm definitely never going to use these, especially since I have the pressed glitters in the Tarte Beauty eyeshadow palette, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these guys. Okay, next up I have this little Huda Beauty liquid eyeshadow right here. One side's matte, one side is shimmer. This one is in the shade Bamboo Hoops, and I love this guy a lot just for really simple days, so I'm definitely going to keep this. Then I have this ColourPop single eyeshadow right here. This one is in the shade Birthday Wish. It's like a super pretty, like kind of reflects kind of white, kind of purple, so I'm definitely going to keep this guy. I love this. And then I have a Fenty Beauty matchstick in the shade Cinnamon, and I actually like to use this on my eyes sometimes if I'm doing like a brown smoky eye. So I am going to keep this guy. And then I have like a little mini Makeup Forever Aqua XL little liquid eyeshadow. So I am going to keep this guy. It's definitely like a really pretty shade. It's like a light champagne gold, so I'm going to keep this guy in my pigment store. Then I have a ton of these little crowns from Wet n Wild that I always think that I'm going to use on my eyes when I'm going to do a blown out smoky eye, but I never do. You're supposed to be able to like draw on your eye with them and then kind of like blend them out, but every time that I think I'm going to use them, I never do. So I probably ought to just let them go, even though that just blended out actually pretty decently, but it is kind of just blending away as I blend. So I'm going to let these go. I always make myself keep them and I'm not using them. So then I have this little pigment right here. It's literally so messy because it gets on everything, but my friend Gabby gave it to me and I have used it before. It's like a super stunning copper shade. So I'm going to go ahead and keep this guy because it's perfect for like a beautiful little sunset look, even though it's so messy. And then I have another single eyeshadow right here. This is just like a dark brown single eyeshadow. So I'm going to go ahead and keep this in here with my singles. Again, good for travel. And I have another pigment right here. This is from Your Minerals Sweden. I got this guy in a BoxyCharm, and I think it's supposed to be kind of like a reflective purple shade, but I've honestly never even touched it or used it. It's actually like a really pretty color, but honestly I just never reach for single eyeshadows, so I probably should just go ahead and give it to friends and family since I have swatched it before in my collection. So I'll go ahead and give this guy to my friends and family. And then I have two more Sephora single eyeshadows right here. This one is like a nice pretty purple color. I've used and swatched this guy before. So that's kind of what that one looks like. It's definitely a super stunning color. I don't really have much of anything like this in my collection, so I'm probably going to keep it. And then this guy right here is like a tri-quad. It has like a dark blue, a silvery white, and a black. The colors in here are actually super duper stunning. I have used them before on normally clients because I don't really wear these types of shades, but every once in a while I do need a blue like this, so I probably am going to go ahead and keep this guy as well. Just trying to keep things that I don't really have other shadows of, and I definitely don't really have anything quite like that. So that is it for my single eyeshadows that we got rid of, and then here's my pigments and glitters drawer. So then back here I have all of my smaller eyeshadow palettes. So let's go ahead and take these guys out and go through these guys. Okay, and then this is just like a small handheld mirror that I keep if I need to do some up close work. So I usually just keep this guy right here in my little pigment drawer, which is fine. Okay, so number one, this is a Butter London eyeshadow palette It does not say what this eyeshadow palette is. I would assume PE9, but I got this in a BoxyCharm. It has some really stunning shades in it, and the quality of it blended super good, so I am keeping this guy. This is the LA Girl Get Feverish eyeshadow palette. I recently got this guy in a drugstore makeup tutorial that I used, and I loved the quality of this guy and all the shades that are in here, so I'm definitely keeping this for just quality and drugstore videos. This guy right here is really new to my collection. This is the Huda Beauty Nude 2, so the nude medium collection. This is one of the best eyeshadow formulas that I have ever used. If you guys need some new eyeshadows, you should definitely try out these mini quads from Huda Beauty. They're literally so good. Actually this kind of looks like dupes for each other, to be honest. So this is definitely a really good eyeshadow palette if you're looking for something high-end. This palette is going in. This is the Sephora eyeshadow palette. This is their, it doesn't even say what this is. It's just like some of their pressed pigments. I have literally had this for so many years that weird things are like happening to the orange one, so this guy has got to go. Next up, I've got this Dose of Colors Marvelous Mauves eyeshadow palette. The shades in here are so pretty. They're like nice kind of purpley tones, so I'm definitely going to keep this guy because I don't really have any mini palettes like this. Next up is the Bare Minerals eyeshadow palette. This is the Power of Neutrals by Bare Minerals. It's this little guy right here. I like this guy. It's kind of more of a cool tone eyeshadow palette, but Bare Minerals has really good eyeshadows, and this is so tiny that it's good for travel and if I don't really have a lot of time to bring out a whole big eyeshadow palette. So I'm going to go ahead and keep this guy as well. This is the MAC x9 quad. This one is in the Burgundy x9. So nice kind of pretty burgundy warm colors. I do love MAC eyeshadows, so I'm going to keep this guy. This palette is literally so special to me. This is my Christian Dior eyeshadow palette in December 876. This eyeshadow palette is the first Christian Dior eyeshadow palette item that I even bought from the company before I ever started working for them. I bought this one with my own money, even though they gifted me so many products working for them as a freelancer. So this palette's not going to go anywhere. I don't use it all of the time because sometimes when I look at this, I'm like, what was I thinking when I bought these for shades? But the colors in here are so stunning. The quality is definitely very good. If you guys can afford high-end eyeshadows, you would definitely love these for sure. They're definitely super duper pretty, but this is not going to go anywhere for nostalgic purposes. This is the Too Faced Peanut Butter and Jelly eyeshadow palette. My mom got this for me a couple Christmases ago, and this little palette is so cute, and I love the little colors in this. I like to collect all the makeup that my mom gives me at Christmases because I think it's just so cute that she always gives me makeup, and this eyeshadow palette I love. I've gotten a ton of use out of it, so this is going to stay. Okay, this is the Laura Lee Los Angeles Party Animal eyeshadow palette. I never use shades like this, but I only keep this for when I need shades like this. I have no other like electric colored eyeshadow palettes anywhere in my collection. This is my only palette that has these kind of funky crazy colors, so I don't like use this on the daily to like do my makeup, but I do keep it just in case I need like a bright hot pink or something like that. This is the IBY Beauty eyeshadow palette in Three's Company. It's like a little trio. I've gotten a ton of use out of this guy, obviously, as you can see, just because if I don't have time to think about eyeshadow, inner corner, lid, and crease, just like right here. So I always like this guy, even for travel. This is the Naked Cosmetics little eyeshadow palette that has 3 different pigments in here. I have used this before because I have swatched it. I'm so torn about this guy because the quality of these eyeshadows is so good, and the shades are so pretty. I just don't know if I'll ever use them, not coming from an eyeshadow palette. Honestly, the reason that I keep it is for this green, and if I keep this green, let me see if they're comparable. Yeah, they're pretty close. Honestly, the Naked Cosmetics green is better than this Butter London one. Okay, we'll think about the Naked Cosmetics and we'll come back to it. This is the Elizabeth Arden eyeshadow palette. It does not even actually say what it is. I used to love this eyeshadow palette. I've definitely gotten a lot of use out of this guy. It has like a nice blush and then some other fun shades in here. But I definitely don't need it because I'm barely ever going to use this. So I'm going to go ahead and give this one to friends and family. And then this is the Blink x BoxyCharm collaboration that they did. It has like a nice variation of like pressed pigments in here. These shades are so buttery and some of the most metallic shades that I've seen ever, so I'm definitely keeping this guy. And I'm gonna go ahead and keep this naked one. I know I was on the fence about it, but I don't really feel like I have any shades in any of this that I kept that look anything like this. The Butter London's really close to the green, but it's not even the same quality as this guy, so I'm gonna keep this one. If I don't use it, then I will be good and I will get rid of it, so I'm gonna go ahead and keep that guy. And there is that. Now we have all of my singles and glitters and little mini palettes cleaned up. So much less stuff in here, so much easier to see everything that I've got for sure. Okay guys, so we're doing good. We have a good collection of friends and family and going into the bin, so we're making progress. Okay guys, and that is it for eyeshadows, eyeshadow palettes, eye glitters, everything involving the eyes, declutter, and reorganization. I really hope you guys liked today's video. Make sure you give it a big thumbs up because it really helps me out a ton. And stay tuned for more of my decluttering videos. I have all of the drawers in my vanity to go through, so I have so much more makeup to go through. I'm going to do brushes and bronzers and powders, and there's just so much to go through. Please stay tuned for more of my decluttering and organization series here on my channel. Please make sure to subscribe before you guys leave, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye guys!